Both of you are world-class interrogators. You interrogate suspected terrorists that have been arrested or detained from countries all over the world. You've done it in a number of situations. We've interrogated together.
For sure.
Murder suspects, all sorts of things. Was there bias by the moderators today, in y'all's opinion?
Let's just look at body language. Look at the facial expressions of people when they're looking at Trump. There was clearly a bias against Trump in their faces. Let's take my other opinion. This is all my opinion. There's a little bit of a thumb on the scale when you ask one person 2 questions in a row as the primary question, and it's a softball question. That feels like bias to me. I would challenge them to tell me why that's not bias if I were in his situation.
Mm-hmm. At the same time, we're seeing the commentators, they would be speaking at the same time President Trump was. So as he's trying to finish his answer, they would not only answer, they would keep talking as well. And you can tell, and I believe, if I'm correct here, the volume of his microphone might have been a little bit hotter than everybody else's. That's why he sounded so loud. He was speaking loudly, but I think you'll hear this when you listen back and forth. This is my opinion.
Well, let me remind everybody that Scott's a Grammy-nominated music producer, so he knows a little bit about sound.
So I pay attention to that stuff a little bit. So he sounded a little bit louder to me. So that whether that was on purpose to make him sound more aggressive, I don't know, but he was pretty loud in there.
Here were the questions until I had to walk over here. When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago? Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs? To Trump, why should women trust you on the issue of abortion? To Harris, why did the Biden administration wait until 6 months before the election to take action on immigration? To Trump, how would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? To Harris, why have so many of your policy positions changed? Fracking, assault rifles, the border. To Trump, is there anything you regret about what you did on January 6th? Do you acknowledge that you lost the 2020 election? And in each of these questions to Trump, there were fact-check follow-up questions, and I didn't hear that to Harris.
Nor did I, and there's a way you ask a question. I interrogated people for a long time, and when you're doing that, you want to look at, how do I ask the question? Why didn't you say, why have you not done anything about the border, as opposed to Trump, didn't you? There's a more negative tone often towards Trump. At the end of the day, this is about finding out what they think and giving everybody a chance to understand it. And I thought it was a little heavy-handed at times, just my opinion.
Okay. Anybody have a question for either of these two about what they've observed or seen? If you do, raise your hand. We'll bring you a microphone. Okay. Yes, far in the back over here. Stand up so they can find you easily. Quick.
How do you respond?
Say your name, please.
I'm sorry, my name's Luke. How do you respond to the claims that the way you're reading this body language, that's something I would call pseudoscience, something not substantially proven?
Sure. Let me give you one good example. You know what I think of that? How'd that make you feel? People send signals. We're wired to do it. From childhood, we read faces. What we're doing is reading the normal part of a person's expression. And there are elements that are intended to send a signal and elements that are designed to hide a signal. And that's what we're reading. We're not telling you we can tell what they're thinking, just what we see.
At the same time, if there weren't so many scientific studies and research from universities all over the country that prove that to be untrue about being a pseudoscience, then I would agree with you. But that's where we learn everything is from the studies from that and the live interrogations that we do.
Yeah, this isn't a horoscope. There's a lot of science behind it. And when you're looking at things like blink rate and pupil dilation and coloring in neck and face and things like this, and it's like playing whack-a-mole. There are so many things that even if you know them, you can't control them all. What did you not hear tonight that you wanted to hear? I mean, we've been waiting for this. People have said this may be the biggest presidential debate of their lifetimes. Set a big, high expectation. What did you not hear that you were wanting to hear tonight? Stand up, we'll bring you a microphone. And if you want to say something, stand up so they can find you next. Say your name and go.
Hello, my name is Jarek. And what I didn't hear, just to give a little quick summary, I'm prior military, and I was in for 7 years. I just got out. And when I first joined, the country was not as divided as this. And so seeing the country where it's at now and seeing the division and the back and forth between candidates, I didn't hear enough of how we're going to unite. I feel as though, as being military, that the state of the country, the division, is in a way, it's like a backhand. It's like a slap in the face, because first and foremost, for me, it's not about left or right. It's about protecting the country. It's about serving the country. And so it just, to me, it's not enough talk about uniting as a country. We already have adversaries that are already watching us. And if we're divided, it doesn't help us at all, whatever side you're on. And so, one day I want to have a family. That's about it. I want to make sure I have a family in a place where the country is in a good state. I don't want to be in a country where we're always feeling as though there's tension and we may not be here for, as long.
You proud of being in the military?
Yes, sir, I am.
You proud to fight for this country?
Yes, sir.
People say thank you for your service like good morning. I really mean when I say thank you for your service, because I know you go out there and put yourself in harm's way for the rest of us so we can have freedom and the things that define this country. And I hear people apologize for this country a lot and talk about what's wrong with this country, and we've got issues. We do. There's no question about it. But I love this country. I do. I stand up when the flag goes by. I put my hand over my heart when they play the national anthem, and I'm proud to be an American. I really am. And I thank you. When I say I thank you for your service, I mean it. I hear you saying you want to hear people talking about coming together instead of, carping at each other. And, I'm a little bit older than you. I've been bald since I was 12, but I'm older than you. But there was a time in this country where people could really disagree. And then when that meeting or debate was over, they could say, let's go have a sandwich and talk about things. They didn't have to hate each other or assassinate each other's character because they disagreed about even important things. And we really do need to get back to that. And I agree with you. That's something I wanted to hear. And that is, look, we can disagree about policies and issues, but, after 9/11, the president had a 94% approval rating because on 9/12, everybody was an American. On 9/12, we were all Americans. We weren't Republican, Democrat, we were all Americans. And I just pray to God that something like that doesn't have to happen again before we're all Americans again. And we need to require that from our leaders. We need to require them to behave and start acting like adults. And if we do that as voters, you know what? They'll start behaving that way when they know that we require that. And this room is full of independents. They need every one of you. They need every one of your votes to win this election. And if you let them know that that's what you expect, then they'll start showing it. They'll start delivering. They'll start behaving themselves. So thank you for saying that.